Right, let's get things started. Let's do this. Hello, people. Okay, going to do some work on Narwhals today. Going to start with some reviews and then some work on the plugins system. Okay, here we are. Let's do this. So just for context on what we're doing, the idea is that Narwhals supports some dataframe libraries natively. We also want to give people the opportunity to make their own Narwhals compatible adapters for libraries which we don't support, or for libraries which we can't aim for to support. For example, if somebody had their own closed source library, they might want to make it Narwhals compatible. Being closed source, it's not feasible for us to implement support for it within Narwhals. But if we standardize on some plugins / entry point system, then I think we should be able to support that use case. So we want to make a couple of reference implementation plugins available for people. So one is this one, Narwhals-Daft, and potentially another one could be a plugin for 2D X-array objects. So we're still kind of iterating over the design, but the idea is that for this to work, there's two components that are needed. One is that plugins in their pyproject.toml should register this entry point, narwhals.plugins. And the other one is what needs to happen on the Narwhals side. So that is in this PR here. We're just iterating over ideas here. Where we discover plugins which have this narwhals.plugins entry point. So that matches what we have here. Let's just show them side by side. That should match what we've got here in the plugin. So the plugin should have this entry points narwhals.plugins in their pyproject.toml. And then we look in Narwhals, we look for any plugin, any library that has this entry point narwhals.plugins. And within that, we ask that they implement two standardized functions, which we need to iterate a bit on. There's some disagreements between Narwhals developers on how this should look like. But for the initial design, we first check, there should first be a simple, lazy check of whether this is a native object to the library. So for example, for Narwhals Daft, we would check whether this is a Daft data frame. And if it is, then we call from native, which wraps that native object in something which Narwhals can understand, something which we call a compliant data frame, or compliant lazy frame, or compliant series. Yeah, that's the idea. So how is this going to work? It's a bit difficult to iterate over ideas here when we've got the plugin in one repository and this entry point system here in Narwhals. So I thought I would just try making the simplest possible plugin that which we could use as a test. And then we can, for one thing, remove these pragmano covers. And second, it can be a bit easier to iterate over ideas. Now, before we go there, I did also just want to address a couple of open PRs. Where are they? In Narwhals. So one is this mode keep any, which looked good to me. So I just want to say, I want to like pre-approve it. Cool, so thanks. Looks good. If we can just get series.mode, keep any. To return a scalar, then I think we can ship this. Like other aggregations do. Like I really want mode any to just behave like any other aggregation, like be that a sum or standard deviation, variance, etc. Cool. And then, so that was one thing. The other thing was, yeah, I need to review this one. Need to review this one. Need to review this one. Okay, and this one. Okay, there's more open things than I really have time for. So, yeah, let's say that the priority for this session then is going to be the plugins system. And yeah, we review things when we review them. So now going to open Narwhals in VS Code, and we can work from that. Okay, let's see. How this is going to work. So going back here. Yeah, this is about as much screen space as it can occupy. Maybe a little more vertically. But yeah, that's about as much as we can get away with. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to check out to that branch and see if we can do this. So git fetch ympet. Let's try to get the really simplest thing. I'm going to mark every single method as not implemented. And what's the name of the branch we're checking out to? The branch we're checking out to is okay, it's called create from native daft, which is, I think this just follows the history of the branch, but the scope has changed a little bit, but it's fine to just keep the branch name the same. Like in the end, the branch gets deleted. What matters is the title of the pull request, not the name of the branch. So what I'd like to do is within the tests. So let's do this. Let's go to the tests. I think in here we can probably just make our own little plugin. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to take what I've started here with this Narwhals daft, and let's make it a test. Yeah, test plugin. Do we need -r? Oh, I always get confused when copying directories. So first, let's make this directory. And then I'm going to copy everything from Narwhals Daft into test plugin. And now it's time to make this one 1,000,000 times simpler. So how is this going to look like? Let's open this folder. So test plugin. Let's get the naming right. So instead of Narwhals Daft, we're going to call it test plugin. And then in its pyproject.toml, let's here just have it call it test plugin. We're not going to have any dependencies. I'm curious to see if we can just make a dict a data frame kind of thing here. So let's, test plugin. Let's also make sure to install it. Okay, we've got a local install of this test plugin. Then, let's get to work. So I don't want this to be specifically about Daft. So I'm hoping that we can just make a dictionary kind of thing. Which means, getting rid of practically everything. Virtually everything is going to have to be just not implemented. So collect, simple select, aggregate, just I don't want anything. Head, sort, drop nulls. Yeah, let's just get rid of absolutely everything. Especially not these deprecated ones. Yeah, exactly. Maybe let's just keep the columns property. And then let's do a bit of replace. So instead of narwhals underscore daft, I'm going to use test plugin. And I'm only going to do this inside the test plugin folder so we don't accidentally replace any other usage. Okay. Then instead of daft expra, I think we can just call this dict expra. Yeah, it's just going to be a dict data frame. Then instead of daft lazy frame, let's call it dict lazy frame. Let's start with just lazy. And then instead of daft namespace, let's call it dict namespace. Is there any other daft usage apart from the readme? But okay, we definitely don't need to care about window functions yet. Yeah, we'll worry about that later. Selectors, let's not have selectors for the time being. It's just the simplest possible plugin. Yeah, we'll have to think about data types in a sec. But let's start with a kind of integration test. So I'm going to come on, let's do test-driven development. So tests, and let's make it plugins test py. So test plugin. So this one is going to require that the plugin has actually been installed. So we'll figure out how to skip the test if that's not the case. But how is this going to work? We're just going to start with some like df native, which is just going to literally be a dictionary. My favorite dictionary in the world is this one here, 112456. And then we're going to say lf equals nw.from native df native. And yeah, we need to sort out the typing. We'll do that later. This might actually be a really good chance to simplify these overloads and this typing, because it's currently doing my head in a bit. Okay, and then maybe let's also assert, let's only implement columns. Columns should be A and B. Like this is all that I want to be able to pass. So let's see if this runs, and it shouldn't run. But yeah, that's the idea behind test-driven development. First, get a failing test, fix up your code, and then get a green test. Yeah, okay, so this one does not pass. In translate, it doesn't let us go through. So that's because we want it to pass this isNative object. So let's go to that function, isNative object. So we're going to check if it's a dictionary. Expected type element. Yeah, so, well, it's going to be string any, really. Okay, so we should pass that isNative. And now, okay, great. It's going through there, but it's not passing the from native. So if I don't think we need these keyword arguments, to be fair. Then we're going to say, yeah, okay, lots of things aren't implemented, but that's really okay. That's fine. We need to pass version through, probably. Let's just get something running first. So within dict lazy frame, init, I don't even want to validate the backend version, like we're just using the, there's nothing to validate here. Okay. From native got an unexpected argument, eager only. Yeah, okay, we can skip those for a little bit. If we need to put them back, we'll put them back. And now we're getting to the point where columns is raising. So here, I think we just want to use the native frame and then dot keys. So we're going to return list self dot native frame dot keys. And I'm not going to bother with catching. You really want this to be as simple as possible. Native frame, we also need to sort out the type annotation. So here, this is going to be a dict string list any. Is this the right? Yeah. Lazy frame, and here we want to put dict string list any. Maybe we can make a type alias for it. Yeah, a bunch of things aren't present. But that's something we need to sort out. We'll sort that out. I'm not super concerned about the typing right now. First, let's just get something running. Okay, we've got something running, which means it's now time to concern ourselves with the typing. So before we go any further, let's add this test plugin. So git commit whip add test plugin, and then I want to remove as much junk from it as possible. Let's remove the README. Git remove forced README. Yeah. Oh, well, this is, yeah, test naming. I think we can maybe make an exception for that. Where's the naming one? There should be like a pre-commit check here for naming. Where is it? Name tests, exclude. I want to exclude, yeah, tests utils, and I also want to exclude tests test plugin. Let's see if it accepts this now. Too many return statements. Yeah, but I really don't care. In fact, I don't think we'll be implementing schema, so we can probably just remove this method completely, as well as this one. Yeah, as well as just, yeah, remove stuff. I don't think, yeah, let's just remove this utils file completely. I really want to strip this down to the bare minimum. Git remove -f utils, yeah. Don't need utils if your plugin doesn't do anything. Yeah, missing some type annotations, big deal. Run.py, well, can't complain about print statements if we just remove the file. Okay, what's next? Missing some type annotations for other. And I don't care. So I'm just gonna no cover this for the time being. Can we actually get away with not having this dict extra file at all? Because here, yeah, we need to actually have that as, so compliant lazy frame needs to be generic in this dict extra method. And okay, so be it. Let's make it as simple as possible. Can we just, we can probably just remove literally everything. Well, we'll need Narwhals extra and Narwhals namespace, but the rest I think we can just remove. Yeah, okay, nice. then here as well, can we just remove more things? In fact, maybe we don't even need this expr file. We can probably just have any here for the time being. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, we need to figure out what to do about this implementation.unknown, because I don't think we have a way to register extra. We could come up with something. I think we can come up with something. Some like registration mechanism. Something to think about later. Hey Luciano, good to see you in the chat. Good to hear from you. Haven't heard from you in some time. Yeah, hope you're doing well. Cool, yeah, just working on the plugins system for Narwhals, and to do this, trying to make the simplest possible plugin, which can really just evaluate column names. That's all it's going to do. So tests, let's remove a few things. Tests, test, plugin. What do we have here? Let's remove expr.py. And I think we also yeah, part of me wants to remove namespace as well for now, just for an initial version. Okay, cool. So we've kept this really simple. I'm so confused by this iter columns. Like, let's just iterate over columns. What is this iter? Like, do all backends have this iter columns? Okay. I think we can just remove it from our plugin. I don't think we need it. Don't think we need with native either. We don't need. Pretty sure with version is going to be essential. Let's remove the namespace as well. It's kind of hard to say what the native namespace is in this case. I guess the plugin would be the native namespace, but also not too bothered about that. From native, maybe let's make an alias now for the type. So type alias. So yeah, dict frame is just going to be type alias for dict. And now let's just replace that usage. So instead of this, let's just write dict frame. Well, maybe not in this one. Okay, yeah, for the others we can keep it as is. And this one is now red because there are certain things it's not satisfying. But we might be getting closer. So first, let's just check that the test still passes. Okay, we've got a issue. Well, this one is only used for type checking, so we don't need it there. Native object is going to be this one here. Yeah. Is native object. I had some recollection of already having done this. Did I just imagine it? I'm going to have to check this. Oh yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so here we're going to... Oh, right, because we did the find and replace. Yeah, makes sense. So test plugin.dataframe import dict frame. Let's use that here as well. And then we're going to return this. Yeah, okay, so how much... Let's check the runtime behavior first. Does it pass the test? Data frame is not defined. Yeah, we're going to have to import that in here, right? Yeah. Let's also import it here for type checking purposes. Okay. Work in progress, at least the tests are passing. Pre-commit is complaining about something. So here, I also wanted to exclude when the path starts with tests, and then we're in test dash plugin. Why did it not exclude this? Oh, right, we need to add this for some reason. Yeah, okay, it's just the strange YAML syntax. Okay, cool, so we've got that. Nice, getting there. Getting there, okay. So what's red? Init is red because it's telling us that a lot of things aren't implemented, and this one is red for a few more reasons. Okay, so let's start by addressing this one thing at a time. But first, yeah, just gonna take a very brief break. Gonna be right back. Yeah, okay, let's get back to this. So one thing at a time, let's try to resolve the red here, and then we'll see what we need to think about for the other one. I think this is just going to be a matter of adding lots of not implemented. So, okay, let's do this. And let's also maybe take the chance to organize things into sections. So, dundas. So, Narwhals namespace equals not implemented. Then, what are we missing? Simple select. I also know we're missing select and aggregate. Schema. Iter columns. Oh, needs to be private. Oh, right, name. Okay, right, dundas, helpers, functions. Yeah, this might not be a bad way to organize things. And then properties. Here we've got schema. And yeah, it's going to tell us about the assignment type, which we're just going to ignore. Right, what else? We need collect and collect schema. And then drop and drop nulls. Filter. Head and shine. Just 4 more. Okay. Choice. Whoops. Rename and sort. Unique and unpivot. With columns and with row index. Oh, nice. Okay, so this one is now green. Part of me wants to sort these alphabetically. Yeah, let's do that. It should take a sec. So I think if we just do this and then do something like for I in, let's use X, in sorted source.split lines, print, let's put 4 spaces and then X. Yeah, this should give us what we need. Let's just copy and paste it in. And then align. Maybe I missed out collect the first time, so ended up, or there was a space, I don't know. Okay, this should be all we need. Okay, cool. From native class method, I'm just gonna delete, so one thing at a time. Work in progress commit, and then let's try deleting things and seeing if the test still passes. much easier to start with the absolute minimum and then add things back as and when we need to, than the other way around. We also don't need this cached schema, cached columns. Oh, right, but I just removed something, so I need to make market as not implemented, so from native. Which should probably be a private helper, but that's a separate discussion. Cool, now this is green, and the tests are passing, so let's add my favorite commit message once more. And now let's take a look at why this one is red, and I'm going to duplicate it so we can take a look. So the error, the diagnostic, tells us that explain columns join is not present. Okay, well, let's take a look. Compliant lazy frame, native lazy frame, into lazy frame, native what? Why is native ibis separate from the others? This is just yeah. It's just too specific. Like anything can really be a native lazy frame, and I think this, like I might have introduced something specific at some point in the past. And I think since then we've been tying ourselves too closely to what we've got. But what I'm going to do is, for now, I would say let's just get something running in. Let's check that this addresses the coverage issues. Also, we'll want to avoid this test for Python 3.10, 3.9. So, PyTest, sys, and then we're going to say pytest.mark.skip if sys.versioninfo is less than 310. Reason 310 plus required for plugin for entry points. Okay, my Py doesn't actually complain, so it's just PyWrite that's complaining. So here we've got a report call issue. PyWrite ignore report call issue. No. Report argument type. Cool, got that. Then we need to take a look at what we've got inside this here data frame. We also want to silence this one just for the time being. So in report invalid type arguments, report invalid type arguments. Yeah. Let's check that PyWrite Narwhals passes as well. Then let's check PyTest. If it's all good, I say we push this. Let's go back to translate and check how this looks. I also wanted to move this after everything else. So there's a couple of things here. So one is this part, so the compliant things. So let's move that into its own function. So translate compliant. So this object is going to be, let's just call it compliant object. And it's going to return I was going to put any. This is fine. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, compliant object. Yeah. Then why is this one red? Oh, right. We just imported it from there. We might want to make a third one then. Is compliant. So let's just say def is compliant object. So this one is going to be return is compliant data frame or is compliant lazy frame or is compliant series. I guess for completeness we should also have is compliant expr, even though that doesn't technically matter for what we're doing at the moment. Okay. And let's import here is compliant object. So then here we can say if is compliant object return translate compliant. And let's delete what comes after. And yeah, internally it's complaining about a few things. I think these we can just import at the top of the file. I don't know why they're in here. So got those, and we also need these keyword arguments, don't we? Yeah. Oh, pass through as well. We need. Let's make sure. Where's pass through? Pass through. Let's make sure to include that. Pass through equal only series. We don't need allow series. That's deprecated. Okay. Oh, and we also need this eager or interchange protocol. Only allow series. Oh, wait. Yeah, we do need allow series. think we've got like some assert never or something that we use some. Yeah, whatever. Let's just raise this for now temporarily. Okay. And then we need to pass in the types. So what are we passing? Pass through equals pass through. Eager only equals eager only. Eager or interchange only equals eager or interchange only. Series only equals series only, and version equals version. Easy. And the reason I really want to do that is because then we can take this plugins code, move it down to the bottom, and then we do the same thing. So we know that this one is going to be compliant object. So then we just return translate compliant. Yeah. The other thing is maybe I would make this like to avoid. Do we want to, yeah, let's say maybe. So this should return. So here, yeah, instead of this, let's just return none. Object wasn't compliant, can't translate. Yeah. So then what we're going to say is if translated, and we'll use the amazing Narwhals operator, return translated. And then we'll do the same thing below. If translated, okay, let's check the test. Yeah, this passes, nice. So now I think we can remove this pragma as well as this one. In fact, here we can just do the return because we know that it's a compliant object. So maybe we can call it translate if compliant. Because then here we already know it's a compliant object, so we can just return. Yeah, nice. Okay, I think this does what I wanted it to do. Let's just check one more thing though, which is how should this look like? So I like the idea of having a isNative object, which we should say it should be possible to just execute this without importing the native library. Then we've got from native. So one question I have is where... Yeah, this one should just know what object to make. Yeah. So, well, let's just see now. If we run this and then check the coverage, so of narwhals.translate, what's missing? So around this part is where I'm interested in. So 571. Yeah, what if it's not a native object? So we should also have maybe a test where we just don't have a plugin. So test. But I'm pretty sure we've got a test which is going to hit that anyway. So maybe we don't need to worry about that one. So 571 and then 573. Which what? This isn't covered? We're 573. What do you mean it's not covered? I just put a breakpoint and we hit it. Sometimes I don't understand coverage. Nonetheless, yeah, I think I'm quite happy with this. I think this is going to make it a bit easier to iterate over ideas. So I think I'd like to push this and then just, yeah, invite people to comment on the design, on what we're doing. But before I push, let's sort out a few things. Yeah, too many return statements. Yeah, part of me wants to just remove this rule. So PLR0911 as well as C901. Good push. Okay, yeah, let's just let it go and then we can see what the impact is and what might remain uncovered. Oh, sorry, yeah. I said I wanted to squash together my commits rather than having work in progress, but that didn't happen. Oh, and this is compliant object we ended up not using anywhere, right? Yeah, okay, so we can remove that. Anything else we need to remove? I think PyWrite is going to go back to complaining because Ruff has moved some lines around so the type ignore isn't where it needs to be. Yeah, that's better. So remove unused function, fix up type ignore. Okay, I'll just leave a comment. And yeah, let's see if the tests run. I'll just start drafting a response, and if the tests run, we can post this. So I've added a commit to add a test plugin folder in tests. Well, the other thing is the tests aren't going to pass because I haven't installed it. So in pyproject.toml in tests, does it work to add a local path here? Maybe not. Yeah, there's no way this is going to work in CI. Right, so if we uninstall it, let's make sure that there's at least one test which runs it. Maybe let's also skip if. Oh yeah, we need import a skip. Import or skip and then test plugin. Nice. So then in the pytest.yaml workflow, at least the one that measures coverage, let's also install test. Let's also install the test plugin. So I think to do that, we can do tests test plugin. Yeah, that's it. And now the test should pass. Yeah. Do we need to add system? Yeah. Oh, I might have been hiding. Yeah, I might have been hiding my editor. Classic mistake. Oh well. It wasn't very interesting though. I did a commit to install this test plugin in CI. And while we're here, let's also add some comments with some things I've been noticing along the way. So, yeah, dict frame, which is just dict string list any, raises a typing error here because it doesn't conform to native lazy frame, which is too closely tied to the core data frames. I'm not sure what we should do here. Part of me wants to just make native lazy frame an alias to object, but I know serves. Yeah, but I know that Dan wouldn't accept that. I think there was something else. So here we've put version.main inside it. Maybe we should be passing the version down, to be fair. Yeah, let's start working on that. I'm sure that there's going to be some issue anyway. So let's put here a version, and then in the from native function, let's also accept a version argument. I think version here is only used for type checking, so let's move it here inside this block. Yeah, okay. So added this. Let's check now what CI error we're inevitably getting. And this can inform us. Oh, nice. Got a PR merged in pandas stubs on what to do next. Got a request for lazy PySpark SQL frame PySpark connect. Might be a bit tricky. All right, lots of red. Let's see what's going on. Cool stuff. Okay, interesting. Let's try running this test, see what it's doing. This one should pass. It's not meant to raise anything, so why is it raising? It's raising here in if is compliant series. What? Oh, interesting. Series only equals true. Yeah, should be fine. Do we have a logical error here? If not, allow series. Yeah, I think we might have an issue. Let's check how this is done for other places that use series only. So if native polars, if it is a series, confused. So let's do what I always do when I'm confused, which is to put a breakpoint. So here we are with compliant object, which is a compliant series. We've got allow series, which is none. Let's remove these defaults. And let's see what's missing. Ah, yeah, we're missing allow series equals allow series. But the thing is, after this, we know that allow series can't actually be none, right? So if series only, or can it? Let's just say or none. Appease it, and now it should pass. Thought it would pass. No. What's the issue? Oh, right. Nice. Is not none. Ah. Yeah. Big advocate for checking is not none explicitly. Nice. So now this passes. Okay. Let's just check. We don't have any default arguments anymore. Nice. Default arguments. I have mixed feelings about them, as with a lot of things. For user-facing code, default arguments are good. For internal code, I think we should use them as little as possible. In fact, can we just remove them from here as well? I'd be curious to experiment with that later. Yeah. In fact, let's try doing it. If we run the same test, yeah, that's fine. If we run, let's say, just the DuckDB tests, because they're quite speedy. Right, there is actually an issue. This was just, yeah. Ignore this little test file. Yeah, let's make sure to pass things. And then eager or interchange only is going to be false here because it's deprecated. Okay, any exciting news happening? Let's see what's happening in PyPI stats. I know that the PyPI stats website is down. Oh, cool. Looks like it might be coming back soon. So fix up, remove more defaults. Okay, I'm just going to take a little break. Be right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I took a bit longer than I was thinking, just had to attend to something. So it looks like somewhat pleasantly surprising, but it looks like things are actually passing. We do have some missing coverage. So in translate, so in plugin 13 to 15, what is that? From what? And then in translate 5, 6, 8. But this is a bit bizarre, isn't it? So 568 to 585. Maybe we just need an else pass for coverage. So 574 and then 575. Yeah, that's this one. So again, for some reason, it isn't going there. Even though it's clearly running the test, for some reason coverage doesn't think that it's hitting these lines. One. It's not clear to me why. Right, I was still alive. Yeah. So yeah, it's still not totally clear to me why are some of these lines showing as not covered. Yeah, what can we do about this? So translate 568. Maybe we just need to pragma no cover this then. Okay, yeah, let's do this. And then I saw that there were some other CI failures. Let's at least try to get it green. Let's post a clean response to people. And then people have something that they can respond to. And we can take it forwards. But let's at least make sure to do our part. Add an init file. What? I think we need to ignore this. This does not look right. Or is there any file we're ignoring? I don't think so. Right, so why is this one failing in pre-commit CI but not locally? This is so bizarre. Oh, right, it's because tests is itself a folder. Okay, so I think what it wants us to do is to move tests, test plugin. Just here, we could just make it a top level thing. Alternatively, if we just add the init file, will it stop bothering us? Let's see. Oh, had I not actually checked in the test file? Well, that's interesting. That's why it wasn't getting run. That makes sense. Well, in that case, let's see if we can remove this pragma cover. So actually stage test file. Okay, let's push and let's see what happens now. Oh wait, what's Duff doing in here? Yeah, this doesn't need to be there. We can remove that. All right. Well, there's a couple more places where we've accidentally got daft. By right, ignore report invalid type arguments. Okay, let's see what happens now. Just hoping I can end the day with something that's somewhat complete. People can comment on it, and then next week we can get to work with a solution that's amenable to people. Okay, cool. Let's just check what we've got inside here. So yeah, tests. That looks good. That looks good to me. Yeah. Right, where are we? Can we get this green? No. Still something we're complaining about. Is not a valid Python package name. Seriously. Okay, git move tests, test plugin, tests, test underscore plugin. Let's replace it here as well. And the okay, name. That looks like the only thing it's complaining about. So let's push. All right. Let's see if CI started again. Okay, yeah, so yeah, basically Dan's suggestion is to do what we've ended up doing here, which is just to use any, well, yeah, okay, we could just use any for all of the plugins. Not sure I agree, but also, well, yeah, okay, but it's okay. So, okay, got at least some tests running. Type 7 tests passing is typing good. Let's check the full coverage one as well. Ooh, nice. Oh wait, no, it does PyWrite first and then MyPy. All right, 8, 9, 10% of the tests green. Cool. So thanks all for comments. I've added a test plugin sample plugin to the tests folder, partially for coverage purposes and partially to show how things link together. I've also moved the discover plugins part until after the existing checks, so we can be sure to not have any impact on existing users. Yeah, I hope this makes it easier for people to share their comments, alternative design choices, and we can take it from here. Given that this should have no impact on existing users, correct me if I'm wrong. I'd also like to think we can merge it before too long. So we've at least got something to work with and iterate on. Still failing type checking. Altair is unrelated, but yeah, Dan said he would fix that. What is this nonsense? Okay, 8 minutes left in the stream. Let's see if that's enough to fix this. This is super frustrating. So locally, my Pi says that there's no issues, but in CI, it complains. Is that because here we need to install it as well? That would be, maybe. Okay, install test plugin in makefile, which is all that gets run in typing.yaml, right? Yeah. Right, okay, I see I didn't get far enough in this one that... Well, it looks like it doesn't actually stop. Okay, maybe it can tell us if there's anything we're missing. Yeah, classic modern software engineering. I don't mean this to complain, just an observation that often just getting CI to, just appeasing CI takes more than figuring out the logic, but it's worthwhile because then it means that other people will actually be able to run it. This is so frustrating. So when it passes locally, but then it doesn't pass in CI. Oh, maybe it's because I ran MyPy Narwhals, whereas in the make file, we should just run MyPy. I just need to run MyPy by itself. It's going to take its time, so... Well, we can certainly start with this one, call overload. That seems legit. Okay, nice. We're at least reproducing the same errors now. That's good. Most of them are just from this plugins test. Then, okay, we can just use type var here. Type ignore, type var, and that covers the PyWrite one as well. Nice. Same there. And then, here, let's just do type ignore. Import not, well, import not found. What if we were to add tests, test plugin, py.typed? What if we did that? Then would it like it? Let's see. In the meantime, anything else that's failing? Okay, we've got something else to fix up at least. Oh my gosh, they merged pandas.col. No way. So I made a pull request to pandas to add this Polus-like syntax, like pd.col. And to my great surprise, it's actually been merged. No way. Cannot believe it. Uh, 33 and 36. Is native, and then 2 Narwhals. It doesn't actually matter. Okay, let's just put it here then. Type ignore, import not found. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. Might as well remove this py.typed file then. Don't need it. So then we're missing 36. What were the lines? Well, if we don't need them, let's just remove them. 33 and 36. Let's remove the... So we need to have 2 narwhals. RST. 2 narwhals. And the other one is native. RST. Okay. Is native. Let's remove both of them. And just keep the bare minimum. Test still passes. Okay, installed. Yeah. Neat. I think that was the only part that wasn't covered as well, right? That's literally the only part. Okay, nice. Which means that everything inside of translate actually got covered. That's pretty neat. Okay, so actually, okay. I think I see an issue. Yeah, I think I see an issue. We're going slightly over time, but I'm just too deep into this. I can't stop. So, assert is instance lf narwhals lazy frame. Got a feeling this isn't gonna pass. What? It passes. What? So how, well, aren't we calling 2 narwhals there at the bottom? Translate if compliant. .dataframe. Oh no, this doesn't call 2 narwhals. Interesting. This already returns. Interesting. Maybe we don't need that to Narwhals then. Not totally sure on the implication here. We might want to remove that. Yeah. Okay, get log. Did we push this one coverage? Yeah, we did push that one. Okay. No, not more red. Come on, please. No, please, just turn green. Name defined. Lazy frame is not defined. Why didn't this one show up? Yeah. And then is native needs to be fixed. Is native. Okay, just one, hopefully one last MyPy, and we can get this. Then, yeah, need to celebrate this one. What are we going to do to celebrate? I don't know, but it's kind of interesting to me that almost 10 years ago there was a discussion about this in May 2016. At the time they wanted to call it X, and I'm somewhat relieved that this proposal didn't go through, because capital X, what the hell is this? It's a capital letter, which breaks Python's naming conventions. Yeah, people have mixed thoughts. And they said they don't like how if you do f of x, everything breaks, but that was resolvable. In fact, we did resolve it in the pd.call.pr. This is why I added simcall, but what is this? So, yeah, it seems like people were somewhat favorable, but somehow it didn't land. There was a pull request for it as well. This one here, but somehow it didn't work. So it looks like they hadn't managed to implement ufuncs like log of df.a. And somehow they didn't manage to get namespaces to work, like dot string dot upper. I don't know why. Wes was fairly neutral to negative on it. And yeah, it looks like after a bit of silence, they just closed it. Right, how are we doing here? Is it even more broken than before? Oh, right, I didn't actually push, so we need to 8. Unused ignore. Import untyped. I kind of want this to not really bother people. So what did we have initially? Import not found. Unused ignore. Let's just not bother people with this error message. Whether they have the plugin installed or not. Yeah, that's the only one. Okay. Nice. Before pushing and using even more CI resources, one final check. Anyway, at this point, it's not really interesting. I feel like, yeah, we know where this is going. Hopefully I can just get it green before the end of the day. Call it a day, go and do something else with my life and weekend, and hopefully by next week, people will have had the chance to weigh in and will know in which direction to take this. Cool. Thanks, people, for joining. Have a good one. All the best. Ciao.